Hi, welcome everyone to my home, my cup of tea, and I invite you as you visit with me and my very special guest today. Get up right now, make yourself a cup of tea, because these are moments for you. So, for those of you that don't know who I am, I'm Susan Lax. I'm a spiritual counselor and an author. And I write something called Morning Inspiration that goes out to people all over the world a couple of times a week. And I wanted to tell you a little something about that. It started probably around 13 years ago when I wanted to send some words out to a dear friend that was touched by cancer. And she kind of wanted to be with the cancer by herself. And I would think of things that weren't connected to cancer or to illness. And I told her, you know what? You don't have to answer. If you don't want me to send it, don't send it. And I never heard anything about it. Then about 6 months in, I came down with the flu and I got a phone call. I would send it to her at 6 a.m, so it would be the first thing she saw. And I got a phone call at 7:30 and she said, "Where's my morning blessing?" And that's how Morning Inspiration was born. And I was working at the time with women with post and pre-mastectomies. And they said, "Why don't we get it?" And so I started sending it. And now it travels all over the world. And as I was working with women and people that are exiting this world or touched by cancer, I realized how important and healing the arts can be. You know, I came across a quote as I was thinking about what we were going to talk about today before I introduce you again to my special guest. And it's a quote by George Bernard Shaw. "You use a glass mirror to see your face. You use works of art to see your soul." And I thought, wow, that is really, really my intent. That through my writings, that you and everyone else just take a moment for their soul. And I believe that every moment that there is no pain, there's an opportunity to heal. Arts cannot cure, but they can offer moments of healing. So with that, I happen to be extremely fortunate to know this next guest that's coming. Shira, an award fairy folk singer-songwriter, is here today. Hi, Shira.
Hey, thank you for having me.
Oh, this is so wonderful. And you know, Shira was also named the Golden Voice Singer by the New York Times. Wow, pretty amazing. And when I thought of doing something about healing the arts, Shira, I have to tell you, you are one of the first people that came to mind to share this platform with. And I think I'm going to give a little background here about why I invited you here. And I think there's something here that may be the first time that you're hearing. So Shira and I both have a very special person in our lives that we both know. And that's how I got to know Shira. And because music is so important to me, I started listening to her music. And, you know, I think it was you actually, Shira, that said it to me. And then I realized, but one of the first times that I heard Shira's songs and her voice, you know, that salty water thing that comes out of her eyes started coming down my cheek. And I knew at that moment that I had a huge heart awareness. And I said, I have to incorporate this. And then COVID hit, and then I wrote my book and A Heart's Landscape, and we just celebrated a year to publishing. And I was working with a woman who was going through chemo, and she still gets my morning inspiration. And we were talking, and she said to me, you know, Susan, I really can't look at myself in the mirror. It's too painful for me. And I don't feel beautiful, and that's not me. And I said, whoa, I know exactly what I'm going to send you. I'm going to send you a song that was written and is performed by this fairy folk singer-songwriter, and her name is Shira. And I don't know if it will resonate with you or not, but I think that sometimes we have to find different arts to touch upon our heart, where we need just that little lifting, that little moment of healing. And Shira, I sent her, Am I Beautiful? And I didn't know if she would have said, yeah. You never know. And I hope she's listening out there. And within, I want to say 10 minutes, she texted me and she said to me, thank you, thank you, thank you. I have already looked in the mirror for the first time in weeks. So that's something you didn't know. I never shared that with you.
No, I didn't know that.
And that is where we don't know how the healing through our arts that we are creators of, what consumer it will reach.
Yeah.
So, Shira, tell us about you, who you are a little bit, and how healing comes into your picture of singing and songwriting.
Wow. Okay. I didn't know you were going to make me cry in the first 2 minutes, but that's not surprising with us. Okay. You know, that song that I wrote, Am I Beautiful? I wrote it for a good friend of mine who was dealing with stage 3 breast cancer at the time. And I wrote it at like 3:00 in the morning, not really thinking anybody else was going to hear it besides her. And I just emailed it to her, and that's it. And only after she got better, we realized that it's something we have to share with the world. It actually came from her saying, we have to do something with this. And we made a music video that together, she's a great director, and it kind of shows our journey through all of that. And then it got out there and it got to a lot of people, like your patient. And sometimes you write something and you don't realize that it's not just for you or just for what you thought it was. And that happens to me a lot in my songwriting. And when I approach songwriting, anytime I sit down, it comes from that place, from what am I trying to tend to within myself or within somebody else I'm thinking about. And that awakens healing immediately. I'm not thinking about healing. I'm thinking about what needs tending to, what needs a little love in this moment in time. And for me, music has always been healing as a listener. When I was a kid, we moved around a lot, and music was always the thing that made me feel safe when I was listening to it, when I was singing it. And then when I started writing it, it became even more powerful. And to see that I could do that for other people is the biggest blessing in the world. And when we talked about doing this, I thought about different ways that I've found it healing throughout my work and my search within music. And when I was in college, I studied music and theater, and I did a minor in music therapy because I've always felt that connection, but I've never really delved into it. And so I did. And I learned about the actual physical ways that music is healing. Because always for me, I could see a beautiful dance show and be moved within a period of time, or see a beautiful painting, or of course from a play or a musical. But there's something in music that it could just be one note and your whole body just, you just feel a bolt, like a lightning throughout your body. Good, bad, strong, soft, doesn't matter. The hairs on the back of your neck just go.
Oh, that is so true. That is, and for someone, as you know, who loves music and loves to sing, but can't really share that with the audience here, or probably anybody but my shower, it is almost the endorphins that are released, I feel, like after a good run, or, in any other situation that allows the endorphins, I all of a sudden feel, and I talk about the fact that I get up and I dance.
Yeah.
I just go into a room and I put music on and I just dance. And sometimes I sing to my own dancing, because it is just at that moment when I need just that one thing that's going to lift me, that's just going to go, up, here you are again. And that courage and that bravery and that inspiration just rises up, and it's interesting that you talked about that you studied music in therapy. I never studied the arts in therapy. And I think through my writing and definitely through my reading, there are words, and it's not always an entire sentence. Sometimes there's that word that just appears and you're like, wait a second, that's what I needed to hear.
Yeah.
That's what I needed to come across, And I actually read that the simple act of viewing beautiful art, which could be watching a theater or you singing or me reading or someone dancing or really just looking in a museum at some art, it increases the activity in the pleasures reward center of our brain. And I think as soon as we are allowed to have some pleasure, we can put that pain or that emptiness or whatever that is at that moment here. And we make room for that, wow, that, like you said, that thing that runs through us, or that joy or that moment of healing. And I think it's sometimes we can be the creator and sometimes we can be the consumer. And one of my gifts or my privileges that I have knowing you is that I get to be a consumer. And I get to put that creator aside, because, I think it's important to take the creator part of us and let it just sit for a little bit and just get that inspiration as a consumer, right? It's just, it's the soul is hungry always for all that creativity. And I wanted to ask you, as a consumer, because you're constantly creating and then performing.
Yeah.
Where do you go for your arts? Where is it that moment of, where is it that you go?
The beautiful thing about music is I feel like there's a song for every moment. And there's songs that I come back to when I know that they, like I said, like when they know they can tend to that thing that I need, that moment that I need, whatever I'm feeling, whatever I'm doing. There are songs that I come back to. And it's like a hug or a safe space, or just someone who that song is like a friend who's with me in that moment. And it's people ask me, what kind of genre of music do you like? That's like an impossible question, because because there's a song for a moment in every genre. It could be anything. So, but I do use it as a tool a lot, and I've recently delved into some instrumental music, which hasn't been I always find the words too, like you, but even I'm finding new places of meditation with instrumental music now recently.
Yay, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
That whole meditation piece. Why do we use, or that's a good thought. I hadn't thought of that until now, really, the power of music in meditation, right? And as I'm a guided meditation teacher, so I use imagery. But then whenever I leave that part of the imagery, I always tell them, when you no longer hear me helping you with the imagery, there's going to be some music that will be entered. So I guess I try to connect the music with the visual, with the heart, with my words, all in one little bowl there.
Yeah.
Of thinking that. But you know what? I have this huge painting, Shira, and you've seen it in my hallway. It's really big. And it was done by this Israeli artist, Smadar Livni. And it's lots of just happy colors and butterflies and I think when I pass by and I take a moment to look at it and just stare at it, there is again that endorphin that just goes boom.
Mm-hmm.
And I use sometimes that endorphin from that painting to go sit down and write.
Mm.
Because I have already awakened something.
Yeah.
I don't have to search for it. And like you, in my poetry, in my prose, in my stories, I write about what's going on with me.
Yeah.
You know, who I've met, who I've talked to, my experiences.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that it's through the connection that I've learned after this last year is how entwined the thought of music and the thought of word can be.
Yeah.
And it's almost there's something that connects them. And I wanted to ask you how you connect the music to the words that you have written. How do you
Mm-hmm.
take that fine, I want to call it, string of something that connects them?
Yeah. So what you said about the painting, I do a similar thing when I want to sit down and write. Sometimes it's a lady muse and she says, okay, Shira, it's time to sit down and write. And then I do that. But other times, if I want to, it usually percolates for a while, something in me, something I want to write about, something that I feel like something is calling me to write about. It percolates for a while. And then I sit down. And the way I get started is I read some poetry. There's a few poets I come back to, and the biggest one is Rumi, who's a Sufi poet from a very, very long time ago. And something about his writing opens me up. And once I see the words come together in the way that they need to be together, it usually appears with a melody. Lots of songwriters either have a melody, they start with gibberish and then they put words into it, or they start with words and they look for their melody. Usually what happens to me is that the words kind of they swirl around and then they come together in the right way that they always wanted and needed to be, and that comes with a melody. That's how it usually happens to me.
Wow. That's very, very cool. I'm trying, as you're speaking about that, and I'm thinking, okay, in my world of writing,
Mm-hmm.
I think the times that there isn't that swirl, that everything just doesn't come together, I
Mm-hmm.
put I want to say pen down, but we all know that I am not typing with a pen. I stop typing. I walk away. And at those moments, I have this box of sayings and quotes on my desk that my oldest daughter, Ayelet, one year bought me for Mother's Day, I think it was. And she said, you're always writing your own quotes. You're always writing your own sayings, thinking of how it'll reach somebody, in whatever. I'm giving you this for you.
Yeah.
And I sometimes take out a bunch of them and I just look at them and, all these writers and poets that are on there. And something about it is almost, as a creator, is very calming for me.
Mm.
It's saying, this is for you right now. And give the mind a little bit of this is for you.
Yeah.
And then let the heart lift. Don't let the mind start. Do you ever feel that sometimes as a creator, when the mind is taking you, the heart doesn't always say, okay, I'm in it.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And especially music, there's all these voices of like what a song should be like in this moment of time, how long it should be, how short it should be, its structure. And whenever I let go of that, those are my best songs, I feel.
Right.
And focus on the intention of which I feel we share of why, the big why. There's little whys of why you do this, why you do this, but why we do what we do, I feel like our big why is very similar.
Yes.
And to awaken healing and to invite joy in challenging moments especially, but at all times. And I was a very, very, very shy child. Most people don't believe me today when they see me on stage. You're like, you're not shy. But I was. I didn't want anybody to touch me. I didn't want anybody to really see me. But then when I discovered that I have this gift of music and songwriting, it felt like it was bigger than me, that was part of my development, to learn how to still be myself and still be shy at times. But when I'm doing this, then I'm doing this, and it's bigger than me. And I work through that.
Oh, yes.
And I have to share with you one moment where it felt really like, okay, you're on the right path. That's right. You're right. Keep doing that. It was actually right before COVID hit and shows stopped and all of that. I think Goddess in the universe gave me that so I could keep going for those few years that were insanely terrible for me.
Yeah.
So I had a show, and it was in Tel Aviv in Israel. And it was one of those shows that I do that it's called So Far Sounds. And those are secret shows, meaning the people that come don't know where it is until the very last moment and don't know who's playing till the very last moment. And it's a very international crowd. Usually I've played it all over the world, a lot in New York. And this was in Tel Aviv specifically. And I come in and I play the show. There's about, 150 people there. And after the show, this guy comes up to me and he's shaking, young guy. And I see that he wants to talk to me, but he's like overwhelmed. And I said, okay. And I come up to him and I say, hey. And he's like, okay, I have to tell you the story. It's crazy. And I can't believe this is happening. I'm like, okay, tell me what's happening. And he tells me he's from Germany and he just arrived in Israel to visit a few days ago. And a friend last minute told him to come to this thing. He didn't know who was playing, obviously. And then I come up on stage and he can't believe it. And I say, why? And he says, because my uncle was diagnosed with cancer a month ago. And I was sitting outside the hospital room looking for some comfort. And I found your song, Am I Beautiful? And then I found all your music and I've been listening to it the past month and it's been with me. And then I go to this show in Tel Aviv and I don't know who's playing. And you walk on stage and I can't believe it. And I wanted to thank you for being with me for the past month.
There is nothing, well, I shouldn't say there's nothing, but I think that explains the why.
Yeah, exactly.
That just explains the why. And as soon as you were telling this story right now, I had goosebumps throughout me because I kind of envisioned what the end of the story would be. And I think, number one, what a privilege. What a privilege to be able to reach people in this way, right?
Totally.
It reminds me of the story sitting in a doctor's office, and they called my name. And this woman sitting across from me jumped up, and the wig on her head was kind of jumped with her and moved. And she said to me, "You're Susan Lax?" And I said, "Yes." She said, "I've been getting your morning inspiration for the last 9 years, and you have helped me through so much." I was like, and that's something that the arts, like an artist in any way, reaches people. That's it. It's done.
Yeah.
That's the reason here.
Yeah.
And, I'm continuously in awe of the human spirit, right? Even what you're sharing here of how you were a shy child and you allowed this. Look where your spirit has taken you. Look where you've allowed it to guide and it's taken you. And I think, I realized that later when I was older than you, and I was already a mother of 3 grown daughters. And then it was like, okay, that's it. Now you have the time, go. And, for those of you who don't know, I'm also co-owner of a international shoe company called Neot. And there's always that little cap where I'm thinking, okay, that little part of me that thinks a little bit business wise.
Yeah.
And
You're teaching me a lot because I do not have that one.
and I think, when I allowed to tell the business part, that little part, to say, okay, you can sit and relax a little bit, and the mother part to say, okay, you can never stop worrying or giving, but we give it's in different shapes and forms, and sometimes it allows for a little relaxation. It was like, oh wait, there's this whole beautiful thing that now you can give in a much larger way.
Yeah.
And it is an amazing journey to be able to see when that unseen that you thought was only with you actually touched another human being.
Yeah.
And we don't know how that actually occurs, right? Until that actually. So I wanted to ask you a question about one of your favorite shows that you have done, a moment from one of your favorite shows where you kind of were like, yes, I have arrived as a creator at a moment where you were one with one in this audience when it came to healing.
Yeah. I think it happens in my shows. I've started doing that. I mean, I've been doing it for a few years, but I really like inviting the audience to sing with me. And I don't play many covers in my shows. Usually I don't play any. So this would be inviting the audience to sing with me, something that they don't know. And that is a very vulnerable thing to do as an audience, whether you feel confident in your singing or whether you don't. You're just going along. And I feel like when that happens in my shows, and I start by teaching them a little something and coming together in singing it, it's really freeing for me and for them. It's, first of all, I bring in silliness and joy to let go of any fears and preconceptions that they have about singing next to a stranger, or maybe singing next to someone they know might be even scarier, right?
Right.
And just having the feeling that we're all in this together. And then when we do that, the first time, it's always like, okay, we're singing together, we're still timid. And then once we open up and do it maybe another time, and when we do it that final time, and I'm like, okay, friends, this is the last one, and nobody cares, and we're just going to sing out, and it's going to be amazing. And then you feel that oneness.
Yeah.
Really, for me, there's nothing more powerful than a room singing together. In that moment, they're not thinking about their bills or their fight with their girlfriend or their parents or their kid. They're not thinking of that. They're really in the moment. And that's when the magic happens for me.
Wow. Well, as a consumer, consumer of singing,
Yeah.
I can attest to that. I can actually tell you that I've been in those situations. And because I know that my voice is not one that people will go, yay, I'm standing next to this woman.
Wait, let's talk about that for a second. All right. First of all, everybody can sing. Point, period. Everybody can sing. Okay. Should everybody sing professionally? Maybe not, but it doesn't matter. You should sing. And I've heard you sing from your heart, and it's just as beautiful as anybody else singing from their heart. Okay. I just want to say that.
Thank you. So I think when I've been in those situations, and it has the first time, unless I know the song, I have found myself to be a little bit timid. Maybe I'll just do like this, and then maybe I'll invite my body to sway, because I love dancing, and I know through body movement that awakens that, okay, you're in the mode, you can start singing, you could do this. And then by the last time, it's like, I don't care.
Yeah.
You know what? If this is so great, I'm already when I want to call on an arts high.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm already there. I'm already in that mode. And I've gone into the aisles and I've sang and I've danced and I'm okay then. Then I'm already, then I'm like, it's all past. So again, I think two really safe places for me or three that I have four that I have sung out loud are one, I being with you, Shira, and having been in your concert and individually. And I think another safe place is always in synagogue.
Yeah.
In synagogue, it is, I'm just lifted by the music. And as you do, you sing at Bnei Jeshurun.
Yeah.
And in a synagogue. And there's something for me that is saying, wow, we're right here with you. Another place that is when I have sung with my children, my 5 grandchildren. It's the innocence. It is that innocence that the young in that beautiful world of being a child exists, brings me back. And I wonder, and then the fourth place, I only gave you 3, don't forget, right? And then the fourth place is many people don't know, but I studied chanting. And I studied shamanic chanting and also Jewish chanting, which is called nigun. And in that chanting, there is no judgment.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not there.
Yeah.
And I remember when I first took the class, I was like, they're going to throw me out. They're going to just tell me there's just no way you could be in this. But lo and behold, exactly what you said, there's no judgment on the voice of the heart.
Exactly.
Right.
And I had, it's interesting. I had a rabbi ask me a few weeks ago, what is the difference between praying and singing to me?
Beautiful question.
And I felt that she wanted me to say that there is, like she wondered what is the difference for me. And I said, well, I'm going to surprise you. I'm going to tell you that for me, when I sing, and this is maybe not true about all music, some music is there, just to entertain, or I don't know, or maybe some artists won't agree with me. But for me, there is no difference between praying and singing, because that's one manifestation of the other. It's all the same. And meditation is the same for me. In the music that I create, in the music that I sing, it's always songs of the heart. It could be, words that are mine. It could be words that are not mine. But the intention is always the same, is to touch something that's higher, that tapestry that we are all connected to, that oneness, either in the room with me, or maybe it's just me with myself, or maybe it's me with the whole world in that moment.
Yeah. Wow. First of all, it's a great question.
Yeah.
It's a great question. What's the difference between prayer and song? Because I tend to agree with you.
Yeah.
And I think that, for me, when someone asks me, so what is prayers about? What is that about? And for prayers, it's listening to the voices of your heart and giving them a platform.
Yeah.
And I think the same thing for me goes in singing and, bringing that along. So I just wanted to also point out, do you ever walk around your house singing, not your songs, other people's songs, just for the fun of it?
What happens to me many days, and I joke with my husband that we can have probably like 2 records of songs that we've made up about little things that are happening, or like cleaning, walking, silly thoughts. That's what I usually would sing. I would make up a little song of what I'm doing usually.
That's funny. Is there a favorite, not a favorite, but is there a singer, songwriter that has been a mentor or an influence, a strong influence in your singer-songwriter journey?
Yeah, there's I think there's seasons to that for me. And at a certain season, it could be one specific person or one specific artist that is like my guiding light for a moment. But I think the constants, the ones that have always been there in some shape, way, or form, are the Beatles. The way Paul McCartney and John Lennon write songs, and George Harrison too, actually, is it's from that same fountain, I feel, in a very sort of clean way. So they've been a big one for me. And another one is Joni Mitchell. I love the way she's not afraid to use poetry in songs, which I like to do as well. And imagery, maybe because she's a painter, I don't know. But I always say that my mind is a constant 8mm film. That's what it looks like 8mm just running all the time. My creative mind and my everyday mind. So I think those would be the biggest two in songwriting.
Wow. So Joni Mitchell definitely had a big influence on me. Just because her music was different.
Yeah.
And it wasn't the cool, everybody's doing this kind of thing for me, which always being maybe a little bit out of the norm as a teenager, and as it wasn't your typical, I liked walks on the beach rather than going to parties. So definitely had an influence on me as well. And I think, who did the Beatles not influence?
I mean,
really, come on, totally. Everybody.
Yeah.
So, Shira, we're going to start talking now about something that there's that subject of grief.
Yeah.
That I, write because I do grief counseling. And as a matter of fact, today, February 28th, is my father's birthday. And my father went into the next world, or exited this world, when I was in my 20s, my mid-20s. And that was the first time that the most personal, intimate grief was experienced by me. And feeling that there was no answer to how to deal with that grief, or one of the reasons that brought me to do what I do today.
Yeah.
And one of the things that people, when I work with them, and I found out from their family, from them, what would help them exit, music and poetry always come up. And funny enough, I've had to go search music in Yiddish. I've had to go search music in Arabic. I've had to search in Spanish and Italian, because there is that going back to then, to our memory goes back to what. So I wanted to ask you if when you've met up with grief in your life, did music acknowledge it and invite healing moments? Was it poetry? Was it reading? What was it in the arts?
Well, you and I share a lot of things, and one of them is losing our father at such a young age. And for me, I was in my early 20s, and it was probably the hardest time of my life. And I'll be honest, I don't remember a lot from that time, because I was probably so emotionally overwhelmed that I shut down and shut out. And I usually write songs after the fact. Most art, I don't know. Some artists write as they're experiencing. Some artists write after the fact. I write after the fact, when I've done some processing, and then I need the final little processing to be through the song. But it's usually after. And I wrote a song that I feel like is still one of the most powerful songs that I've written. And most people don't know that it's about my dad. Because of the way it's written, you can interpret it in a lot of ways. It's called Earth is the Right Place for Love. And that's what it comes back to. The chorus is, Earth is the right place for love. I don't know where it's likely to go better. At the end of the day, I came back to, this is what we have.
Right.
And this is how we can keep going and love.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. That I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Really. So for those of you out there, you can't feel this very touching mutual energy that Shira and I share. And I'm privileged to have this be a very big part of my moments these days.
Yeah.
We have a very exciting announcement.
I kind of wish there was a banner that said breaking news or
now. So Shira and I, well, I'm just going to start a little bit. And I think it was in the summer. I was thinking about my book. It had been a couple of months since it had been published. And I was so lucky. It was welcomed in open arms. And I was thinking to myself, I think how do I take this to the next level, this message that is out in the heart's landscape? And I didn't think very long about it because Shira, you came right away to mind. And I know what your songs and your writing do to me and did to that wonderful woman. And I called you, I said, let's meet. And we sat and we talked. And I asked you to put music to my morning inspiration. And so that's the small details of how it began. And out of that, we are going to be having a performance together, reading, singing. And Shira has taken my morning inspirations and weaved them together at times and put them to music and brought me to moments of awareness, tears, and really being in my now in ways that I had never experienced before. And this will be happening on March 26th. The doors will open at 7:00 at B'nai Jeshurun Synagogue. And the concert begins at 7:30. And there's so much more I could tell you about this, but we have to keep a little bit to ourselves. And as I am going to read you something and give you a little sneak peek from this concert.
Wait, before you do that, can I explain a little bit how it came together?
Oh, yes.
Okay, so as Susan said, she came to me and she gave me her book and asked me to put music to some of her words. And I'd never done that before. When she came to me, I said, and she said she wanted to collaborate. I said, okay, great. I have no idea how we can do that, but I'm down to try. And I took the book and I just opened it. The first page I opened, I saw a sentence and music came just like it does when I explained when I write the songs. So I was like, okay, this is going to work. And we slowly built it together and created what we call the Heart to Heart Songbook, which is a mix of poetry and songs and communal singing. You're going to do some singing and all together. And the way the evening is going to work is that we've split it into what we call heart pearls. And each pearl holds a reading, a song, and a conversation, putting it all together in one beautiful heart pearl that has one theme that we're touching, one heart theme that we're touching. And then at the end, we're going to have a necklace of beautiful pearls that we can take home with us to our heart.
Oh, I started to do it on purpose. See?
Amazing. You're already ready.
Yeah.
So what we're going to show you now is one heart pearl.
Yeah. And I just want to add that we have wonderful musicians that are going to be there.
Yes.
And there's going to be a lot of conversation that goes on too, but we're not going to do that right here in the sneak peek. But in the live comments, I wanted to tell you that you can find how to get tickets to this wonderful performance, concert, togetherness that we'll be doing.
Yeah.
And there's information about how to learn more about Shira and about me at susanplax.com. And you can find out how to buy my book as well, or sign up for Morning Inspiration. And before we go into this, I really want to thank Shira for being here. And as I have learned to make my usual, you enhance a moment to a level of preciousness that is lasts for many moments that follow. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
I want to thank Booktrib, and I want to thank Merrill Moss Media and Kendall and Tracy that have helped put this together, and my social media team, Reut and Michal. And I just really hope that in this world right now that is broken in so many different places, that these words and these notes, they reach someone that is in need. And I thank you all for being here. So I'm going to read to you something. And then Shira.
I'm ready.
Okay, here it goes. A number of years back, I sat sipping a glass of wine with a very dear friend of mine. It was a beautiful sunny day. We sat at a small table with an umbrella hovering over us. His body weak, but his soul so very strong. What is it about today that makes you smile? I asked him innocently. He looked into my eyes and quietly answered. First of all, I get to be outside after many weeks of having to be inside. Next, I am sipping a glass of wine with you. But most of all, it is that I have found another way to make today matter. I think the hope that I will succeed lets me smile. Words that have become a true guide for me. Hope is moment by moment. May you find a moment of hope to give you the strength you need to arrive at the next moment.
Can I borrow your hope? Can I borrow your hope? She said, with salty eyes and a dash of apprehension. She'd heard me speaking of hope. She'd heard me saying that hope is here, born anew, with just an invitation. Hope has many colors, tunes, and various forms, but its essence, oh, its essence is a rosebud ready to bloom. A rosebud ready to bloom. I wish I had your hope. A wish is just like hope, I said. Fragile, but with the strength to carry you forward. And if I lose our hope, and if we lose our hope, I said, we lose the chance to taste a little something sweeter. Hope has many colors, tunes, and various forms, but its essence, oh, its essence is a rosebud ready to la 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 la. I think I found my hope. I found my very own hope, she said. You can keep yours, her eyes glimmering courage. Today's the perfect day. to discover a way or two to add a rose to your beautiful garden of moments and sing the la 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 la. Those at home can sing with us. La 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 la. No one can hear you anyway. Who cares? La 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 la. Last time. La 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 la.
Woo!
Yay!
Well, what can I tell you? You know, all those endorphins, they're out there. And I sang for those of you that didn't hear.
I'm happy you did.
And I want to thank all of you and Shira, and I can't wait for you to join us at this special, special time at this concert performance. And for those of you that are not in the United States, you'll be able to, or someplace not in New York,
Yep.
you can join us on Zoom. It'll be live streamed.
Yeah.
Okay. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Thank you.